Thank you, Madam, for giving me an opportunity to speak on the supplementary demands for grants. First of all, I would like to thank the Honorable Finance Minister. She was kind enough to waive off GST on tamarind. A lot of poor people and lakhs of tamarind workers in my constituency and in my state have benefited. Coming to the supplementary demands for grants, I would like to put forth my state's perspective more than the national perspective. The central government has brought in an ordinance where corporates have been given incentives in income tax to the tune of rupees 1,45,000 crore. This is a welcome move because it will provide a stimulus to the economy, especially during this downturn. But the fact is that all this is going to go into the non-tax revenues, and this will not be a part of the devolution of taxes to the states. Our state is already crippling due to lack of finances. We have huge deficit. So I request the Honorable Minister to take a positive view on this as a special case for our newly formed state. The bifurcation has resulted in adverse implications for the finances of our state. We inherited 56% of the population, 60% of the debt, and we also inherited only 46% of revenues. There is a huge mismatch and there is a huge deficit in the revenues for the state. It would not be inappropriate to say that the bifurcation of the state took place with two promises. The first promise is the special category status on the floor of this house, and second is that they will fulfill all the conditions in the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act. But the fact is that the special category status has not been addressed so far. It was promised on the floor of this house. It was promised in the manifestos of both the BJP and the Congress parties. It was promised not only in the House but was also promised in various meetings by the Honorable Prime Minister himself and all the other ministers who have canvassed in our state. So I think it is the need of the hour to support our state. The government should act in time to keep up the promises made in the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act. After the bifurcation, we inherited almost rupees 97,000 crore debt, and in the past 5 years the debt has risen to rupees 2,58,000 crore. As of now, the government is surviving purely on debt. The only way forward for Andhra Pradesh is to get special category status. Our YSR Congress party demands special category status for Andhra Pradesh. It is already promised in the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act. Madam, I would like to talk about the Polavaram project. It is a very important project. Andhra Pradesh is basically an agrarian state. More than 60% of the population thrives on agriculture, but in the past few years, the farmers have been hit with continuous drought and cyclones. We can understand the plight of the farmers. Andhra Pradesh has the highest indebted farmers in the country. So it is time for the government to help us in constructing the Polavaram project, which is a part of the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act. It is a national project which has to be constructed by the center. There is almost rupees 5,000 crore pending for the work already done in the Polavaram project. We are already living on borrowed finances, and the interest part on this amount of rupees 5,000 crore is close to rupees 500 crore, which is a huge burden on our state. So I appeal to the government to release this fund immediately. The project is also in full progress. Very soon it is going to reach the 42-meter level for the Coffer Dam, which means that there will be submergence of land, and a huge amount needs to go into land acquisition and also for rehabilitation. So it is time for the government to release the amount for the state. An expert committee was constituted for this project. On the advice of the expert committee, reverse tendering took place, and we have a huge saving of almost rupees 800 crore. I think this is a direct saving to the central government. Please understand our positive attitude and help us in completing the Polavaram project fast. Everything is on the fast track. The bills are paid in a few days' time whenever the work is done. But here we have delays for months. It is going to drain the exchequer with additional interest cost. I would also like to bring to the notice of the Honorable Finance Minister that as part of the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act, we were promised a package like Bundelkhand, where a backward district gets benefit. In our state, 7 districts have been identified, and every year an amount of rupees 350 crore has to be released in this regard. For the past 2 years and even for the current year, this amount has been pending. So a total of rupees 1,050 crore is pending for the state. I urge the central government to release this amount very soon. As I have already said, ours is basically an agrarian state. We are mainly dependent on the river Krishna. Although the Godavari passes through our state, we are not able to use much of water from that river. So, as part of interlinking of rivers, I urge the central government to take up interlinking of the Krishna and the Godavari as a national project. If you see, in the river Krishna, the water inflow into Andhra Pradesh, especially from Sri Salem Dam, has fallen from 1200 TMC to 450 TMC. It may be because of climate change, construction of new projects, or some other reasons. It is almost 1/3 of our actual requirement of water. The only way to improve the demographic dividend of the state is to interlink these two rivers. I think this will be the largest employment generator for the state. It will help, especially the Rayalaseema region, which is suffering from years and years of drought. There has been a global shift towards well-being economics, with Bhutan rejecting GDP as the main economic metric in favor of gross national happiness as early as 1971. The United Kingdom has also introduced some elements of it in its economic policy. Recently, in June 2019, New Zealand became the first developed country to make well-being the core to its entire budget and the key objective for all its government ministries. I believe we can adopt this as a planning tool, not only to achieve our targets for the sustainable development goals like poverty, hunger, and health, but also to gradually shift our focus on people rather than on productivity. The economy exists to serve our people and the environment, not the other way around. I think this House should deliberate on this subject in great detail in future, as the determination of our economic growth even today rests on GDP. I would also like to mention here that India's GDP for the second quarter of the ongoing fiscal year is only 4.5%, the lowest in at least 6 years. Even growth at current prices is only 6.1%. There is little doubt that the Indian economy is in the midst of a slowdown, one that appears to be driven by both supply and demand side factors. The government has attempted to revive demand by ensuring welfare growth and seeking to expand other aspects of its own spending, but that strategy is reaching the end of its usefulness. The government's final consumption expenditure has grown at over 15% year on year and is about 12.4% of GDP. In other words, it contributes almost 2 percentage points of the 4.5% overall growth in GDP. The non-government sector, therefore, may be growing only at about 3%. Clearly, the picture is much worse than the headline number of 4.5%, and the government spending is sucking dynamism out of the private sector. Therefore, the government will have to accept that this is a problem that cannot continue to be tackled by its own spending. It has already sought to revive some animal spirits in corporate India through tax cuts. However, more is needed.